Hey there, it's Bob again. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what motivates people to give. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of motivations for giving, and I'll bet if we came up with a class project to name how many different things motivate people to give, we'd probably have a list that would be well into the double digits, maybe triple digits. We may come up with more than 100 reasons. I'm going to suggest 6 today. Uh, Reasons I believe people are motivated to give what they have been entrusted by God with. I'm going to suggest that very first motivation that we're going to talk about today is fear. People are motivated by fear. You say, well, I know no one at my church who's scared of anything. I'm not sure they're motivated to give by fear. Let me share an example with you. Both Brett and I have a friend. His name is Jeremy, and he went for a job interview in Detroit, Michigan, in the United States. He went to a rather bad section of town, and as he was in this town, he pulled into a parking space, and he went to open the car door, and he realized that the door wouldn't open, and all of a sudden he realized there's a gentleman standing outside the car. Gentleman has a gun in his hand. He reaches through the window. He puts a gun to Jeremy's head, and he says, "Give me your keys, your wallet, and your money." And Jeremy immediately thinks to himself, I am about to become the most generous person in the world. Because he suddenly begins giving. He gives because he has a fear for his life at that very moment. And so he's motivated to give out of fear. And I think many times, especially those who have this relationship with karma, who think, well, I've done something good, therefore good things come to me. If I've done something bad's going to happen, and so I have to make up for that somehow. And so I give out of fear that bad things are going to happen to me. And so fear motivates some people to give. The next motivator for giving, I think, is guilt. How often do we look at what we've done all week and we go, oh man, I didn't live for Jesus the way I thought I should. And so out of guilt, I try to make up for that by giving some resource or some time or giving a little extra here or there because I feel guilt. And that guilt motivates me to become a giver. The next stair step, so to speak, would be a social obligation. I feel like I'm obligated to society to help them out. I mean, after all, I am better off than the person down the street who doesn't have as much as me, who is maybe homeless, is an alcoholic, is struggling with some areas, and I don't have those issues. Therefore, I feel obligated to help society, and so I give. I give to the local food bank or to the local blood drive because I have an obligation as an individual to help society out. But maybe I give because I get satisfaction out of helping society. Maybe it's social satisfaction that really motivates me to give because when I give, I am learning that there's something inside me, that blessing, so to speak, that comes from helping out someone less fortunate than me. That the next area would be obedience. You know, God's word says we should be givers. In Ephesians, it says we should work so that we can give. And I say, I want to obey God, and therefore I'm going to do it. But, you know, I remember when I was a child and my mom would give me a couple of coins. And I would, before church, and she would say, no, I want you to put this in the offering plate. And I would put them in the offering plate out of obedience to my mother, but not out of joy in my heart. I didn't necessarily experience joy because I was obeying. I was just being obedient. And so as I put those coins in, I was thinking about all of the other wonderful things I could do with those coins, things that included toys and candy and the like. But I was being obedient and I was motivated to give because, well, let's face it, out of that obedience, I did fear the punishment that might come if I didn't use those coins in the way my mother expected. The final motivation I want to talk about is worship. You know, when we help people get to the point where they are motivated to give simply because they love God more than anything or anybody else, and they say, God, what a blessing you have entrusted to me. I recognize that these gifts are not mine. They belong to you, and I want to use them for your purpose. See, as we look at this stair step or these motivations for giving, I think we come to see that these bottom steps are all about me. They're all about what I get out of it. I get my fears allayed. I get my guilt taken care of. And so it becomes very ego-centric, my motivations for giving. And then we start to focus on other people and we say, well, the motivation for my giving is to help others, and I become very centered on the society, or socio-centric in nature. And then I think God says, I really want you to focus on me. It's not about you, it's not about the people around you, it's about me, and it's about having a God-centered reason for giving. And our job as ministry leaders is to help people move up this staircase. We're to help people who are centered on me to become a little more focused on other people, to take their thoughts off of themselves and onto others. And then those who are thinking about others, help them retrain their focus up to God, where they say, God, it really is all about you. And that is our role in fund development. To take you back to the triangles I showed you just earlier, notice this. When it's all about me, I'm paying for a service. I'm paying to get my fears allayed. I'm paying to get my guilt assuaged. It is what I pay to do. As I start looking at others and looking at God, I move into a giving relationship. And I say, I'm not getting anything out of this. Although you could argue that satisfaction from society or the blessings that come from God may be something you get in return. I don't give for the purpose of getting that in return. I give because more and more my focus of my motivation is centered on God.